G'day viewers, Retro Man here, and welcome to episode 2 of my brand new series, Lost Movies from the 1990s. Today I'll be discussing a quirky romantic comedy about a couple of bumbling art thieves. These two really cannot stop bickering with each other, and I'll also be taking a look at a jungle adventure that tried to update a famous character for a new generation. Two If by Sea from 1996 is a romantic comedy about a couple of art thieves. It stars Sandra Bullock and Denis Leary. Denis Leary was this comedian that was on the scene back in the 90s, and he was building a reputation for himself. Sandra Bullock had just done Speed and While You Were Sleeping, and she was really picking up, becoming a superstar. And I went to see this film in the cinema, and there was only a handful of people in there. It had a poster where you could almost not recognise Sandra Bullock. But at that point in time, if I saw Sandra Bullock's name on a film, I just went and checked it out. She was a real star in the making, and she had a lot of energy in the 90s. She had this bubbling spirit, and she brought that to Two If by Sea. But the funny thing is, this film didn't go so well at the box office. It kind of flatlined. You would have felt that it would have went better after While You Were Sleeping, but not many people came out and supported this film, and it kind of just went under the radar. So it wasn't from lack of trying. Sandra Bullock and Denis Leary are really at each other's throats in this. They do kind of have an interesting chemistry, but I think for the most part this film could have benefited with a different leading man. I'm not so sure Denis Leary was the guy to sell this film, but it really is a Denis Leary film in essence because he wrote the screenplay. So he was involved in the story and the screenplay, and it really was his baby. But somehow in the shuffle, this film, doesn't come together as you think it would. An Australian filmmaker by the name of Bill Bennett got involved, and for some reason Leary doesn't think he was the guy for the job, and Leary doesn't think that what he had on the page translated that well to the screen. So for me, I think this film would have benefited from a different male lead. But then again, if you listen to the dialogue, it really has that Denis Leary tone running through it. So I still believe this is a Denis Leary film as such, even if he kind of wants to step away and disown it and say, hang on a minute, it didn't work the way I wanted it to. So they're a couple of bumbling art thieves, these two, and to escape the police, they end up on Rhode Island. So they kind of hide out on the island in this house, and there's this other guy on the island there that is rather suspicious of them being in this house. And, it's a movie where they're kind of playing con people, and there is some moments that'll have you laugh, and there's some other moments that just kind of putter along. So ultimately this film was deemed a bit of a failure, but the two actors delivered in terms of spirit and spontaneity, so they do blend well together. So, Two If by Sea, a film that many people haven't seen. It's an early one in Sandra Bullock's meteoric rise. And sometimes a movie comes out where the title just doesn't click with the public. And Two If by Sea was obviously that. What does it mean? And it's a term that not everyone's familiar with. So the title kind of wasn't a great marketing tool. And I think on the poster they had Sandra Bullock and Denis Leary in a romantic embrace, and they were kind of caught up in the heat of passion. And I'm not so sure a close-up photo of that image as your marketing poster with those two is really enough to sell this thing. I think they could have done the marketing a little bit differently and maybe tried to sell it as a caper movie with a romantic twist. So it's not exactly a Thomas Crown affair, but it does offer a few scattershot laughs. Sandra Bullock is busting a gut, and you still will get some entertainment factor out of this film regardless of its flaws. But I think Sandra Bullock really goes for it in this. She's funny, she's sweet, she's quirky, she's over the top. She is a high-spirited woman full of emotion, and I think ultimately this film is a showcase for Sandra Bullock more so than Denis Leary. And it does show everything in Sandra Bullock's trick bag. So everything that she does so well on the screen, you will find it somewhere in this film. So I would say check it out if you like Sandy, and also check it out if you're down with Denis Leary's groove. So To If by Sea. Wow, even the title's a little bit odd, but this is a lost film. Tarzan and the Lost City is a 1998 jungle adventure starring Casper Van Dien as Tarzan and Jane March as Jane. Now, this film was kind of presented as a sequel to Greystoke, The Legend of Tarzan, which came out in 1984 with Christopher Lambert, and that was a hit film. This movie came out in 98, so you're looking at 14 years later, and by then they needed to recast Tarzan. They didn't know what to do. Should they call it a sequel or a continuation, or should they just look at it as a fresh angle? So for the most part, they used a script that was originally written as a sequel of sorts. And I think that Casper Van Dien is an okay Tarzan. He has the look, he's fit. And I think Jane March is okay as well, but somehow this movie is just not a bullseye. So many people do not even know that this film exists. This is just a lost relic from the 90s. But if you like Tarzan adventures and you want to go on a safari with some cheap frills, some action, some stunts, and some really cheesy special effects, Tarzan and the Lost City does offer an entertainment factor, but really adventure films are hard to make. In fact, they're one of the hardest genres to get right. So overall, Tarzan and the Lost City, it deserves some merit for trying. So Casper and the gang did their little bit for adventure in the 90s, and Casper Van Dien is one of the many to don the loincloth. So Tarzan and the Lost City, not a great movie, but they tried hard. And guys, that's good enough for me. So there we have it, another episode of Lost Movies from the 1990s. Thanks for joining me. And if you have something to say, please share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd like to hear your memories on these two films. Did you see them in the theatre? Did you catch up with them on video? These are kind of lost. No one talks about them today, but I have an affection for both films. So share your memories in the comments below. And while you're at it, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you're alerted for my next episode. Until next time, this is Retro Man, living the dream, retro style. Stay gold.
Thanks for watching. Retro Man will return faster than a boomerang. But in the meantime, please check out these other episodes.